setting those.
We just need to.
All right. The regular meeting for December 19th, 24 of the Water and Sewer Board now called to order at 4:30 PM. As normal, we'll start the meeting with the approval of the minutes of the November 21st, 24 meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve or any changes, deletions, or additions?
Motion to approve.
Second. Barry on the motion to approve, Steve Freeman on the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, financials. You have a copy in your file there. We'll start with the November trial balance report. Up in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see that our cash balance is still holding at $1,900,000 against $1,400,000 approximately a year ago. So and we have paid down the infrastructure loan to the city to $285,000. So we're slowly but surely progressing with that. On your water budget tracking report, it still is holding to budget. We're at operating revenue for the water was about 760,000. Current year-to-date balance against 791,000 budgeted. We will start the CPI increase will go into effect on the January billing.
Yes, which
And
will be,
which
yeah,
will,
not this next one, because that would be building.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to look. and see.
which
Yeah.
we will make sure of that, but then that will help bring that up into closer to where it should be. And there's no change in the grant revenue. That was from an earlier previous. Looking at the expenses, maintenance and repairs to the system. It's still higher than what we budgeted, had to do with the well fields and other items there. But overall, we're margin wise, we're about $70,000 below budgeted for the first 5 months of the year, and that again has to do with the maintenance of the system. Sewer budget tracking. Revenue there is 362,000 against 312,000 budgeted, which is above what we had planned for that period of time. Our professional and technical services is about 60,000 against the budget of 31,000, but still below the annual budget for the year. Repair and maintenance is about even. So our margin, our cost is at 383 total against 463 budgeted. So we're about 50,000 below budget. And we are showing a small profit of $18,000 at this point in time. So I spoke of the CPI indexes going into effect, and Linda has looks like calculated that for us and showing us the effect of that on the water and sewer rate structure for 25. Came out with an increase per the ordinance of 4.63%. And you can see that for the first 2,000 gallons, which is our fixed rate fee, that goes from $16.38 to $17.14. And then she's brought those up to date for more 5,000 and 7,000 gallons. And then the water outside the city goes from 22.44 to 23.46 for the first 2,000 fixed rates there. Sewer rates for the first 2,000 gallon goes from 1874 to 1961. So if you take the 1961 and add that to the 1714, you're looking at about $37 minimum charge for water and sewer inside the city. And outside the city, we would be looking at 23 versus 29, which would be about $50 to $53 for a minimum bill.
Yeah, I did that. I always try to do y'all a comparison sheet, kind of with just a few things. So, just someone with a minimum bill, which would be with water and sewer with $2,000, 2,000 gallons or less, it's going to go up $1.65.
And if I remember correctly, when we did the budget, we did an estimate of like 3.5 in the budget.
We try to be
increase.
conservative, but
Conservative. so
but it
to
calculated at
4.63.
4.63.
So the detail in that, you can look at that. It's a very good schedule that she put together for us to look at and review. So
I just thought I'd give you a copy of this in case you had anyone ask you any questions. Of course, that won't be for another month or so, but
is there any
I went ahead and calculated it. I had all the information.
questions or anything on that? The only question I had was something that we may want to talk about because I don't know that. You look on the second page of that sheet for the hauled waste fee.
Yes, that was something
it
Tim asked
stays
me
at
about.
07.
That we should
last year
look
and
at.
it's 07. I'm wondering how or we would put that on the CPI index or what needs to be done to put that on the CPI so that
It is. I did calculate it. It is. It just doesn't go up enough to change it. So Tim had said we needed to look at that because it needs to be more than that. He had told me that before he retired.
That would be the people who all in. Yeah, like the lanes and those kind of guys.
No, it's too low. 7 cents a gallon. I said it's 7 cents a gallon, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's too low.
It's not as much as the sewer is.
No,
It should be at least that.
I agree.
Well, we will make it so.
That needs to go up.
Did,
I don't know.
was when I, when I first got involved here, did we have a review of the relative rates in the area? There was a document reviewing the rates. And this is the meat and potatoes of what we need to be doing. Let's take a look at the rates, make a recommendation, and then we take a recommendation to city council with your support. The mayor would do it. Say, we're gonna change these rates.
Oh, we had the gentleman come in and speak to us.
Well, I'm thinking about something different.
But I thought he brought in comparisons or something.
Did he include the
But I don't know.
LTW top expensive. I don't think he did, he didn't do.
I don't think he
waste
did either. He just did water and
treatment.
sewer
He did
rates.
the water rates.
He did
Okay.
water.
I was almost thinking, I think Tim called around. I think he did at some
Somewhere
point.
down the line, we
Yeah.
had called around and gotten the
Mhm.
better quotes.
But I think we need to check on that too.
I'll make a note.
And
The
You could see
significant
what-
amount that we take always. I didn't really know we even did.
oh, yeah, Lanes will bring in some and those, these.
Yeah, they'll bring in like
the
800
sewer
gallons
tanks
at a time
and
or something like that.
Bring in.
So
Oh, yeah, we
Does that fit
manually build that.
like
Carrie,
where I've done?
or either Carrie or Jordan one
also
calculates
type of-
those.
Like,
They'll give us a
services,
ticket,
delays,
you know.
No, as far as I know.
Lanes comes in.
I mean,
I don't think so, but I think
Cause this is the
that's-
outside stuff that comes in.
Right.
Yes.
charge them, and that's in here.
7 cents a gallon. It's on that middle page.
So who are pretty customer?
Yeah, we're saying
Services.
Well, services, waste back.
We can
Travel, that's quality, doesn't have one. I've always done that.
Quality carrier.
Yeah.
Well, they use rail services.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's
All right.
putting the burden cities paying.
Hey, Bill, did you hear me?
I did not.
Okay, so
I was trying to understand what we were talking about in general, so. I'm
third,
caught up.
we have, we'll say, it, TriMac,
TriMac,
Rail
rail
Services.
services and waste pass. Or that's our 3 pre-treatment agreements.
Okay,
Quality carrier uses rail services.
so those are firms that they clean equipment or do other things, waste treatment that utilize our capacity and there's a fee involved.
Yes,
That's one segment of business.
got it.
And there's a permit required.
Yes.
You gotta meet the permit.
And then there's another segment where we have
Lanes, is the main one.
lanes is the main one. Yeah. But we're talking, this is just normal,
This is out, yeah, this is like outside.
paid by the load.
Yes.
Mhm.
And where do they physically dump?
They dump at our influence.
They dump at the implant.
And we bill them.
And yes,
We're talking about the rates of that latter category.
Oh, just of that latter
Mhm.
category, okay.
And we probably, when you're visiting rates, we can take a look at the other ones too.
Right.
And where that shows up in the budget tracking is on that other operating revenue sewer. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's where we keep it separate than from our operating revenue.
Okay.
The operating revenue is, what we bill with water bills. So this year so far in 5 months, we have 13,275.
Okay, on the sewer, you're saying here revenue. 13,275. So the second line item represents which one of these you guys are talking about? Lanes
The whole waste and all that. I know it's lanes and
yeah.
and the others, so you just,
Whoever, I can't think of another one. I know Lanes.
waste bath. Right, Dan?
We're treating.
Yeah, they're a treatment.
Pre-treatment.
Mhm.
and come to the
We
sewer
bill them
line,
also.
so I don't bill them separate. We'll bill them separate.
Yeah.
But I think I've paid more than 13,000.
You have this year?
oh,
Well, those are-
Guess I might ought to check.
Yeah, we do.
Try to stay out of it. I'm not involved.
Hey,
So, but I had just wondered about that 7 cents. It didn't look like it had been adjusted, so. But we need to maybe
I can show you my calculation.
arbitrarily adjust it. It's been that way for a while. All right, any other questions on the financial statements, the CPI and any of those items? All right, I left the water and sewer computer system upgrade status on there just as a more of a reminder to see what the status was. Are we moving forward with it?
Do you want to report on that, Mr. Mayor?
Computer upgrades?
Uh-huh.
No, I'm gonna let Bobby do that.
Bobby doesn't know anything about that. He's
We're
talking
supposed to
about,
get something in like July, ain't we, or something.
We're talking about the administrative computer.
Yeah.
The PO has been signed to, what's the name of the firm?
Edmonds GovTech
Edmonds.
and,
Not Edmonds, the automobile people, but
No.
Edmonds.
Yeah.
and
To
he's,
get a jump on implementation, we're gonna work Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Everybody's got a schedule for 8 hours per day.
Even board members?
No, board members, I'm just talking about the tax. That is a really popular idea in the front office the other day.
Sure was. Yeah, I'm sure you got. a lot.
So we'll
Well,
have to kick off meeting in January to establish the timeline for getting that moving.
they said they'd be getting with us in 1st of January for a kickoff
But
meeting.
completion of implementation, guys, is 12 months.
So it's gonna be a definite learning curve and experience. I mean, it's gonna be something, but it'll all be good. It will be good.
I know, I understand what you're going through because I've been putting it off myself.
And it's it's a big deal for any enterprise to change their sales system or in my world, manufacturing, the ERP system, it's a big deal. And this is never been a big deal for the city because we're not just doing utilities. And I don't have a breakdown of the number of transactions that are utilities versus number of transactions that are otherwise. The biggest one otherwise, of course, is taxes. We got a little bit of nickel and dime rentals and stuff that they come in and come out, but the big one's taxes. So water is every month, every customer, every month. So that's the touches, and that'll be the first part of implementation, I believe. We
Yes.
don't have the schedule all set up yet.
That's what we're gonna ask
All
for.
right, well, good.
It's utility to be first.
As long as we're moving forward, that's good.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
it has been signed.
move that one. Oh, a little bit.
Is this the one that y'all were pitching? Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's look at the project status update. Chad sent me a update today and on the projects. Long Valley Road, it appears that we are putting the bid opening is scheduled for December the 30th. The one easement that was a real problem is I think it has been signed, got that taken care of. And then the easement, other easement that has to do with another entirely different issue is going through the process in the court system. And that's not a legal issue, it's a underage children on the land and they're needing to get all the proper authorities to sign in, so that is now moving forward.
Yeah, it's a little distressing when you see it's going through the court system. But
Yeah.
It has to do with ownership.
Has to do with the ownership.
But my understanding of that date is that's all they agreed to.
Right.
It is a matter of letting the legal process catch up. So we've got good news on the Long Valley Road deal. Is the other property here on that specifically?
Is the other property,
Well, I guess it's the Smith property, the Donna Smith.
Donna Smith.
Donna
is
Smith on
one
top of the
that
hill was
has,
a sticking point. I think that we've made some inroads there.
got that signed, I think, so.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure how that information got corrected and how the sentiments changed, but I think we owe a thank you to somebody. I think we've had some personal interaction there to get some change of attitudes and looking at this. So
Yes,
that's good news. I mean, those were the two remaining ones, I believe, right?
right. That was all we need to get it rolling and start moving dirt and getting that completed, so that'll be a good one to come off. We have another issue with the Cypress Lakes meter vault. And it has to do with easement and property lines and according to Chad, The city located the existing main to confirm the actual location and site for the vault. Have you been involved in that, Bobby? Or any-
Yeah, I dug it up and found it.
Yeah, so long story short on that one, the landowner, and there's some conflict over, where exactly the property line is and where that meter vault's gonna be. So we need to resolve that. So what Chad says, long story short here is that we haven't gotten a licensed surveyor to survey that boundary line. But I think we need to do some talking and take a look at that. That water line's been there for a very long time. And we need to review, since it's been there much over 7 years, and I don't know that the property line is the only point of conversation during that's been there. Doing maintenance on it and taking care of our infrastructure, I think that it's good to go. That's a conversation to be had. The legal boundary may help that or may hurt that, but it may be irrelevant, so we gotta talk that out. Have I got it right?
I think
So, you know, if we have infrastructure in the ground for whatever it is, and you've had it there for a period of time, then that becomes the right of way. And that's why we need to make sure we cross the T's and dot the I's before we put infrastructure in the ground, because we don't want to do this kind of thing. But there is some, the part of the lot line is not fully understood.
Right, exactly.
So two-prong attack, if we get a licensed surveyor, we can look at the lot line, and then on the other side of the house. But this is mainly talking to the relevant parties and understanding what the concerns are.
Yeah, is that something that Roger could do, or is he a conflict of interest?
Roger can do it. Noth and Coleman Development are the two contractors that are licensed surveyors that are operating in Calvert. I don't know, Noth is located that one. I think he had said that Cypress, when you have surveyors out there and they've got recent pins in place and recent data sets, it's faster and better. And so Chad in this reply to us said that he noted that Noth has been out there doing some survey work in the immediate areas and he'd recommend going in. But we'll see where they are.
Okay.
And they're, you know, James is really good. He's got an ongoing project. He's pretty good about fitting in. You know, if you're doing a brand new engagement, the surveying has got quite a backup usually.
So is that a Bobby thing, or is it?
That's still a conversation to be had. I think we need to talk to the landowner and understand where we are as far as being sure that the infrastructure's been in there long enough that it has the right to be there, and then a conversation with the landowner. And it's just a reasonable conversation, but Bobby was out there and it was, I guess the initial one wasn't the best one, and we'll see what we can do.
Well, and his comment to me was, he thought that we were gonna put some kind of like gaudy fence.
Okay.
Like, make it look like that, and I was like, that's not the plan.
So what's this install look like? It's what size meter?
It's a 4-inch.
4-inch meter.
And it's gonna have a 4-inch, bypass, so it's gonna be fairly large. But the vault itself is only gonna be like 9 by 6 by 9. But it's gonna have on the outside of the vault, you're gonna have your bypass. And we're trying to get that off of him.
Mhm.
So that might actually have to be in that road where we make the bypass.
Which we want to avoid.
Yeah, I'd rather not. Yeah, I'd rather have it just inside the road, which we could.
How many 4-inch meters we got?
4-inch meters?
Mhm.
No. Sorry to know.
So it's
Because this is actually going on the main, that main that's going through there.
So the bypasses, you have a valve in the ground outside the box, one on the other side and one on that, so the actual pipe won't go through the vault. It'll be outside.
You'll have the main. Going
Meter.
through the main and the meter in the vault.
So it'll have a couple of block valves and the main meter, 4-inch, it's a monster. It's
It's a good size, yeah.
be in the vault in the ground, so it.
But it's gonna be like, it's gonna be ground level.
It's gonna be
not like,
flush.
it's not gonna be like,
Yeah.
something like
So,
an eyesore.
I think the next step is to have a conversation with the landowner and see what the best way to proceed is.
Okay.
Do we have one in place somewhere else in Calvert?
Not like this, no.
You have a picture? of
We have
something like
vaults.
that?
You can go look at the ones like at, like Westlake, they got vaults.
I was gonna say you might take him a picture. So-
Yeah, I could do that.
Cause he might be imagining something.
Yeah. But those out there are actually set up, their vaults are, so they stick out of the ground about this high.
Yeah.
These ain't actually, this ain't what, it was gonna be like ground level.
Yeah,
have
right.
something like,
Like your yard, except
yeah,
a lot bigger.
yeah, you'll be able to roll, you can run off the top of it.
Just go out and take a picture of your yard, say this was gonna look like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I bet, I ought to tell him to see where I dug the hole. That's what it's gonna look like right there.
But that's a very good point, Bill. Picture worth 1,000
Yeah.
words, folks need to see what they
Yeah.
understand.
So this 4-inch meter that's feeding all of those trailers and stuff there, so that falls under this, a 4-meter rate. Then, right?
I guess that's how they're gonna charge. it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right, right,
because,
Yes,
because
that's,
they'll all be billed one.
Yeah.
And they can split up however they want.
right.
yes,
Okay,
that's big, that's a big deal.
that's right. How big a meter will we need over there with the other, that new construction? Is there anything
Let me say no.
that new, we could do that helps us be ready for that new construction?
New construction.
Marshall, the
Yeah.
Marshall Yard.
That's gonna be a 3-inch.
3-inch,
That's the proposed one for that.
yeah. I just always like to think ahead if I'm gonna be out there digging, and I know that's coming. If there
Yeah.
anything we can do that,
Well, the engineering people are still working on that.
Yeah, but that's what it's
So,
proposed
I mean,
at
you
right
know,
now. is a 3-inch.
3, okay.
It's still under engineering work. Influent lift station is continuing to move along. Bobby, where is Travis on that?
They've, well, they've already crossed over there. They're over there by the influent now, our existing influent. And they've got it all dug and, and popped in right there. Not connected or nothing, but they've made it over there.
Right.
That's where we're at right now. The rest of it, all the groundwork up there by the effluent station and stuff, looks pretty much almost complete of that, filled up the way it needs to be.
Okay.
And I think they should have had most of the coating done. On the bottom barrels, I think they had,
Bottom barrels, yeah, okay.
that's moving along pretty good.
Okay, on the lagoon pillows, we got a bid back on those, but I didn't see or hear about that bid. I don't know where that bid
Yeah.
turned out to be.
The halos,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a email that I can share with the group. And the reason I've been distracted, I'm sorry about that, but my computer showed up at City Hall, and about that time it says, Coburn, you need to change your password. I've been over here trying to get my wool from blowing up. See if I can find it.
Sorry, you talking about just the full liners? We had that bid opening on the 12th.
Right, so there was a bid opening.
And I think, was it RTD came
I
back
could
with
go
something?
get it. I have it in there, but
I've got this letter right here. Okay, so Rivercrest. We went back, RTD bid the initial Halo. We opened it at November the 14th. This was Halo rebid, RTD. And Clean Air and Water Systems, they made bids. And then on December 12th, we opened a bid that was for a liner replacement project. Okay. So get down here and Chad has sent Bobby and sent Bobby a memo. And made their recommendation. They recommend, Rivercrest recommends that the city award the project to the low bidder for the completion of the full replacement of liners for cells 2 and 3, and for the bid price of $339,860. $339,860. This will require additional work by the city's operations staff to dewater and desludge the existing lagoons, and we talked about that during this last meeting. And the cost will be offset by the cost savings in the bid and long-term future replacement costs when the halos wear out. So the reasons, in summary, the rebid process, we were successful in getting more attention to this bid and advertisement. The low bidder was able to reduce their bid by $151,000 from their original bid submitted back in September. Okay. They understand the bids for this project remain higher than originally anticipated. However, after 3 rounds of bidding, we feel that the numbers received are indicative of the current market value. It's important to note that the HDPE liners are the recommended current industry standard for municipal water. Then to really understand that, you gotta get back into. The Halo was to bid a compatible, or basically the same polypropylene HDP, the 60 mil HDPE liner specified, but our replacement option costs 1/3 of the 45 mil reinforced polypropylene that was specified in Halo. Okay, so let's get this right. 60 mils HDPE is 1/3 the cost of the 45, the thinner scrim reinforced polypropylene. Now, I don't know how you compare those two liners, but Rivercrest knows that stuff and they're happy with it. That's a recommendation. And then the additional handwork, there's a big labor component. You're going around doing a lot of hand welding on the Halo. And we talked about that the last meeting too. And indeed, when we said, okay, we're gonna go out for bids, it meets with what we thought was gonna happen. And that the overall cost would be the leader, be the preferred route to go. Unfortunately, it takes longer. It's gonna take more Calvert City staff time to get out and get those liners ready to replace. So that's a recommendation of Rivercrest to do that. We can forward that memo on, that was dated the 13th. So Chad's trying to close out his year end and everything. He's actually available. He told his availability for tomorrow and next week. Is over here 2 days next week, and then that's the first year.
Which group was it again?
RTD.
60 mils is a heavy liner,
Yeah, HDPE.
HDPE, you know.
So what I don't understand from what I see here is timing of the project. I don't understand how this changes what we have to do to ready for it and what it'll be actual timeline versus the Halo replacement. So it doesn't really matter. I think that
Well, with the Halo, we were gonna lower.
We weren't gonna D.
But now you're gonna empty them, and then you're gonna have de-sludge them all the way down. And dispose of the sludge
right.
some way.
So
Probably get a longer term. Liner and everything, but doing the whole thing.
So when could you even start on that
I
project?
mean, it'd have to be in spring.
In the spring?
What does that do for your needing? What does that do for your needing?
It just needs to
money?
be allocated, don't it?
No, I just need a contract signed. If you even want to go this route, if you want to do it.
Are you
just
saying with
before the
funding
end
or
of the
something?
year.
Funding. she's-
Right, grant money,
She's got money.
sure.
So do we need to recommend that process?
well,
to
you know,
move that forward?
I'm still trying to see. I mean, that's a recommendation of Rivercrest, and they're in this a lot.
Mhm.
However, option A versus option B doesn't stop and end at these bids. The Halo price presumably pretty much cover the whole effort.
Right.
So for this lower price at 40, we don't have apples here because we haven't gone through and looked at the timeline, and we haven't gone through and evaluated. We're making, you easily make the assumption that we've got the time in our existing city forces that we can execute this work. Dan brought up a very good point. We've got to deal with the waste disposal and flood, and we have to do that anyway. So counting that as a cost of option B is probably not quite fair because it's gonna have to be done periodically anyway. But, as far as a full apples to apples comparison, I think maybe we could flesh that out a bit, but you do have the cost difference is impactful, it's significant. I mean, it's what did you say, 150 something thousand.
Didn't we do, major sludge removal that we hadn't done for what, 60 years or something from the lagoons? Were you involved in that? You
No,
already
I
put that,
didn't, I
right?
wasn't in that.
I know Tim was, right?
But we still have
You still got
the equipment.
bags.
We still got the dredge machine.
We
yeah.
got the dredge machine to do the dredging of the sludge.
But didn't we sell some other key piece?
No,
We didn't. I thought we
We
had some
had,
piece.
we had,
Roger was talking about maybe.
we verbally said that we were going to liquidate the dredge, but it has not happened.
Oh, okay,
It's still there.
So we still have the dredge.
okay.
That dredge is a popular little piece. I think that you could probably farm yourself out there.
Yeah.
Once keep that bad boy busy.
yeah,
But we'll still have it and we loaned it. Didn't we loan it?
No, I don't think Tim did,
Okay.
cause he didn't want anybody missing it.
Do we still have some of
I think
those,
Benton asked.
They did want.
some of that waste in containers? Do we still have some of that there? On site?
there's a couple of them, still two big bags
Yeah, there's
laying
some
up
bags
on
on
the
top of the
levee,
hill.
which we need
Yeah.
to get rid of. The other bags were buried in a clay line pit
Hmm.
over there. It's questionable, but,
Did those bags change in size with time? I mean, did they decay any or moisture or anything? Are
Well,
they still
I don't know.
relatively?
Those
the
two that
design
were-
of the bag is you pump the wet clay in it and the water runs out.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Keeps the sludge inside the bag.
Right,
I
But-
don't know what their life
yeah.
of sitting out is.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're, the two that's out there are still electric. They're holding pretty good.
We can't give it to somebody to put on the farm.
Yeah, we talked
Oh,
about
Yeah,
that before.
needles,
It has to do with the fact that there was,
You're responsible
Yeah.
for.
yeah,
kind of,
needles and diapers and
Yeah,
and we getting our system to the point where we don't have to worry about that stuff, right? Or that's part of what we're trying to improve.
it's what
Yes,
the,
yes.
Yeah, but we're not there
Yeah.
yet, so that's, still got all.
influent station has a marked,
Didn't it have a bar screen or something?
The bar screen in the front of it.
we're improving our screening capability before it goes to the waste treatment plant.
It'd be a long time before we're at that point of where we can have somebody take it,
And use it.
because there's a whole lot of stuff in that.
I don't know that that's the only barrier.
Kentucky environmental is not a favor of land farming. sludge.
I know it'd be like if you had nickel or something in it.
And if you
And they
take it
figured
over-
out,
you
you know,
take it
50
over
years.
into Illinois and you can land farming over there, I understand pretty easy, if not in Kentucky. So, at least that's what Rogers said.
I don't know what to recommend to you. I mean, Rivercrest is recommending to accept the bid and do that. And I've just made a note that I think we need to take a look at the desludging effort and see what that's gonna be effort wise and maybe even cost wise. And the waste disposal piece of it, there's a cost to that. So let's figure out what that is. And so we'll be comparing apples to apples.
Do we have a sense of how deep the sludge is?
The
inside?
worst enemy of a good solution. is
In
the
the
problem with that.
lagoons right now?
I would,
My point is that it doesn't have 60 years worth in there, I can tell you that.
no,
But it was several years ago that we did it.
right, I think it was 08 when these were put in or something like that.
Truthfully, my answering my questions that I have is probably impossible without at least starting a dewatering effort to see what you're getting into. That we're probably gonna have it'll be a guesstimate.
Proofs in the pudding or in the poop or.
Yeah, I mean, I on the surface, I agree with the recommendation completely. It makes a lot of sense to get us into a 20-year life or something as opposed to a stopgap fix around the top. I very seriously doubt that there'll be any, because any kind of waste disposal will have to be cost incurred on that anyway. At some point in the future, and that the desludging activities will probably be done with existing forces. Of course, we run overtime for emergency repairs and different things. I don't think we would see that on the balance sheet. The desludging activity would be one of those, you would do it as you could fit it in. So I don't think we're talking cash flow, there, and I could be wrong about that.
Fast you want it out of there.
Yeah, that's true. It depends on what you're trying to hit. As far as timeline.
If we ever looked
We
at,
just pile that up and then we just, once we dredge it, do we just pile it up and then load it with a backhoe or something in the bags?
No, with fit in the bags, they pump them in the
They
bags.
pump it in the bag as they're.
So the dredge machine includes
Yeah,
the system to put it in, okay.
Put it
So
in the
that means you
bags.
have to go ahead and, I was just curious if you dredged it and piled it up and then you could bag it as you had time.
Oh, no,
It's all in one.
As it goes, it sucks it and pumps it into the.
The dewatering is built in the permit.
Okay, so it's maybe like even a belt press type of thing. Okay,
So
Then
the
you-
bag design will let it dewater,
Mhm.
and I'm not up on the technology completely there.
It's designed to let the water drain out,
Mhm.
hold the sludge, and then you would have to then, once you got ready to move the bags are. Can't just load the bag in the truck, it's bigger than that. So you have to. Split it and, and use a backhoe or whatever and load it into the truck. I'm pretty sure it's the way they did it at others. I mean, you might get some smaller bags.
Yeah, I don't know how big you can get.
we use bags.
Well, hopefully we won't be
that-
talking
that-
about the volume, same
No,
volume, shouldn't.
Could we give Lanes a discount for bringing us their stuff and let them take ours?
Yeah, I know it. I'm all for it. Take it.
I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, I know.
But that's Chad's recommendation, and I don't know what the board, what the utility board wants to say about that. So the Halo option was seen as the better one from longevity and expense.
That's your
It has-
engineering
Yeah,
recommendation
that's
from.
Chad's
Chad's.
recommendation. It has been based on information presented that Rivercrest recommends the city award the project to low bidder for the liners for lagoons 2 and 3 and for the price bid equal to $339,860. Please note this will require additional work by the city operations staff to dewater and desludge the existing lagoons. However, these costs can be offset by the cost savings in the bid and long-term future replacement costs when the halos wear out. So they, Rivercrest Engineering, which practices this, they have turned over the thoughts in their analysis. And they recommend doing the full replacement. We just don't know what that number is, they would expect. So, I mean, they're recommending we go ahead and award the contract.
And what was the other option? An amount we don't know? Is that what you were describing to me, or an amount?
Well, I mean, you know, they see the Halo replacement would be a partial life and more expensive. In my observation, and it's observation here, and will require additional work by the city's operations staff, that's to run the dredge, to dewater the sludge.
To do the cheaper
To,
bid.
to do the less expensive, and then
Right.
they say these costs are offset by cost savings in the bid and
Right.
long-term future replacement costs when the halos wear out.
Right.
So. A lot of the dewatering work and stuff would have to be done in the future anyway, so you're changing, you know, you got a periodic maintenance schedule and now you're shifting it forward a little bit. So you don't, you know, you're not really,
So that's 100 grand plus that you would have to work with
Mhm.
to drain them and sludge them.
Mhm.
Do we depreciate that out there? Any of that stuff?
And in the sludge.
Yeah,
You know, I'd have to look, because the auditors determine, I don't know, I think we maybe expensed it, I'm not sure.
okay, I
well, the
think if you,
depreciation on the cost analysis that we were presented is
Mhm.
shown as a negative cash flow. Because we have to accrue monies to replace systems. But
but if we are depreciating that, when we replace it, then our depreciation costs should go down. So you got, once you get a new lining in there, then you're not at the same depreciation amount, right? So I mean, there's pros and cons. So I mean, personally, I think that recommendation makes more sense. You got a heavier liner.
right,
And the problem we got now with it is that we're having trouble welding the halo to the existing liner. So then I'm thinking if you went from 45 to this 60 mil, the 60 mil might be easier even in the future. to weld another line or two when it comes down. And it has been 6 or 7 years at least
Wow.
since we did that. So,
So it has to be, I guess.
Now,
and
the replacement of the halos is being driven by what? Mechanical integrity, they're,
of the die,
so
yeah.
we gotta do something.
Yeah.
Right, the upper halves are
Mhm.
deteriorating.
So,
The new material, I guess, is capable of having a halo later in its life, that HPD.
HDPE, I had to tell you, I don't know
I guess
how,
that's polyethylene, I guess.
high density polyethylene. I don't know how it is with UV, resistance compared to
It
this
will be.
particular polypropylene.
It will deteriorate in sunlight,
Is that what you guys use?
but our liners are covered with dirt, so we're not exposed up on top for continuous sun, but that's what we use in the bottom of the sail. But up on, when it comes up on the side, you put it in the trench, which is what you'd have to do there. But then from there on, it's pretty much covered, where it's not.
I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with that.
I am too. That's
And
what,
we've had some 60 mil material had left over it, because it's just outside rolled up and it deteriorated from over up here to the. I mean, I feel like that's what we need to do, I mean, for the long term. Repair.
I'll talk to Chad about it and, I think it's, I guess we could take a roll call vote on this or just know, is anybody against the idea of putting in the bigger liner? I don't see anybody really resistant to that.
no,
Bigger liner, the full liner.
and I don't think you got as much sludge to dredge as we did, previous, so.
Hopefully not. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
longer than I thought.
I'll have a chat with Chad and then that's something, if he tells me something that makes my head spin around. We can go ahead and we've got some grant monies that need to be committed. This is one of the many eligible projects that the city has.
We got grant money to,
To cover this.
for goodness sake, yes.
Well, let's put this in perspective. I mean, the grant money is available to help defer city expenses for a lot of different things. And so we have stayed on pretty good financial footing and we've completed projects that could qualify for not losing that grant. money.
Right.
And so this is another one of those. This is one of several that we have to choose from. And
Right.
you didn't stun me. Chief.
So are you sure if we get a signed contract that qualifies for that, or does the work have to be
Well, I
complete?
just have to have a contract. The cutoff is 12/31 of 24.
Okay.
The project does not have to be completed or the money spent until 12/31/26.
Okay. Well, good deal.
You have that long to complete.
Okay, good. I got time to think.
So that would give you kind of.
One thing we did say,
Take the sludge out.
But I would have to have a
Yeah.
contract signed.
Have to
in
figure all that
place, which Chad said he can do that, have that. Before 12/30.
Bobby, one thing we said when we did dredge it out last time, is we're not gonna wait 60 years again.
What's that now?
Now, we're not gonna wait 60 years again for
Oh,
you to,
yeah.
to dredge it out.
Right, about a
I'm-
2-foot lagoon.
I don't remember a number though. I don't remember what number it was, but it could be 60.
I know, yeah. I don't plan on it.
So this is looking like about 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And so you'll be able to make judgments. I know you gotta organize all this, but once you've done the project, how long did it take and is it a good time to do it? And we're having to do it because of other things, but down the road, I would love for you to come in and whoever's here, say, I reckon we do this often or something like that.
Yeah.
15 years.
A reasonable
Right.
time to do it now, anyway. It's been a reasonable amount of time has passed. We get it done before we get the new influent lift station in place.
Yeah.
Right,
And it all kind of
I agree
worked
with you.
fitted
Right.
together.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
does.
Then you will be able to sort of gauge after the new screeners and everything.
Right.
How long
In
did,
good shape.
how long did it take to build up after all that? Because we won't know.
Yeah.
Run the new system.
It's almost like a test, right?
What does a line last? Just for, I can't remember what y'all told me before.
Well, I'm pretty sure they said about 30 or 40 years. That's why they were comparing the halos would only last probably, 5.
Right. It's almost like a
But
Band-Aid.
the actual liner could be, maybe
New
even
liner.
50. I mean, that's what I was.
Okay, I didn't know if it was, I was hoping it was at least.
I think
20.
30 would be like a pretty good number.
That's right.
So we're doing 2 and 3,
Yes.
but what happens while you're working on those? Do we have, are we using one? I know it's
Well,
sewer.
we'll do the other 2. We'll just
Right.
use 2.
So we're actively using 4 now. Okay,
Yes.
I'm with you.
Back in the day, there was only 2 to begin with.
Yeah.
So.
So it just switch another poop reactor and get it taken care of.
Now you're talking in language.
There we go, yeah. We like.
Not either.
You got certain reactors and we'll shift the reaction load to another.
That's right.
All right.
All right, water plant half service pumps replacement, looking at a ship date just after Christmas. They'll be coming in on those. Marshall Gaming, we talked about that a little bit, hit it around, but the engineering work is still going on that, back and forth, trying to determine exactly what we need. Moving a water main relocation, and what size pumping station we need, and all that's going on, and they are pretty much carrying the ball themselves.
Yeah.
But
That-
working
that was
with
pretty
Jet.
good.
Yeah.
Marshall Gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That may be a spot where we want to talk about the overall project. We'll just go ahead, go on with what you're doing and we'll bring it.
Well, the next one on my list is Kentucky Dam Village sewer connection, which is also in that same area. And we're waiting on officially the metering that they took up there, but what they've got so far, it was near 34,000 gallons per day with peak flows near 140,000 gallons per day.
Say it again, average
Well,
flow.
there's data that we're seeing is near 34,000 gallons per day, which I'm assuming was average day flow. And then they're getting peaks that are 3 times that.
And this is
So
sewer
that it's on
coming out of
data, it's
Kentucky
on
Dam.
data that Rivercrest
It
has.
will be coming from the sewer.
coming from the sewer line at Kentucky Dam Village State Park. Okay.
So I'm assuming, be careful when you use that word, right?
Mm.
But be trying to correlate the peak flows to weather conditions and see what's going on, what's causing peaks or not peaks.
Did we say how many
And
peaks in a
that's what he
month? we had?
says, that's what he says he's gonna do. Once we get they hadn't got the report, but when they do get the data, they will evaluate it.
Okay, so we're not there yet. Okay.
But
Go ahead.
keep in mind that that whole area down there with Loves and Kentucky Dam coming in when we get the right stuff from them, and the gaming area and any other expansion down in that area has all got to go through Cypress Lakes pump station.
So hot off the presses today. There's some conversations going on. We got a lot of stuff happening. Coming in from that direction, and there needs to be a proactive, longer term look at stuff's going on. And this is kind of getting in some economic development discussions. I'm gonna be a bit cryptic. I think I can say that apparently, and this is all hearsay on my part, but some lots that they've been for sale for a very long time are under contract. So we got activity that people are interested in doing some things out there. So when we look at the situation, you got Marshall Yards coming in right about there. You got the potential for Kentucky Dam to possibly, we can come to the agreement there coming in, and we need to make sure the rest of the infrastructure is good. So in preliminary conversations, he sent a note to the 3 of us. Basically, if you're really gonna prepare for it, you gotta take a look at it. So we're changing the booster pumps out. So you take a look at the water flow capacity along Lone Valley Road. We know how many gallons could be put into whatever out there. And you know how it's gonna manifest itself in wastewater flow. So that'd be one end of the spectrum on what you need to be considered. If you have full utilization out there, that water main will be able to put this much wastewater. Capacity considerations at the Cracker Barrel lift station, capacity considerations at the new Foxfire lift station is what we've called it. That's actually this rebuilt one that we're talking about at Marshall's. And then capacity considerations at the US 62 lift station. Which one's that?
That's the one that's coming, that's right by the park, right there by Lowe's.
Okay, and then the capacity considerations of Cypress Lift or Cypress Lakes and make sure we can get it up to 95 to gravity flow.
Right.
So we're looking at all that infrastructure being able to match. And you know, we always plan on growth, right? We always plan on growth, but we got activity going on now. And we need to make sure that we have it covered for the near term and the long term. And so that's just the things to be considering there. So if you were to develop extra restaurants or maybe even hotels, then your practical limit's gonna be how much water you can put up through there. And so in the economic development conversation, that's something I've seen when I read that this morning actually was, are we gonna need to increase that water line? So, you know, you can develop some economic development seminar or scenarios and say, hey, is that water line out there big enough for everything? So that needs to be included too. And so we just kind of need to take a look at the potentials and make sure that the infrastructure improvement is really set and ready. Because we don't want to improve something and 2 years later be back out digging it. Right?
Exactly.
Well, we also have a limit on how much we can pump out of our wells. How close are we getting to that? If we have people coming in?
Mhm.
And do we need to look at, I think it was mentioned sometime years before about, out near, Calvert Drive-In. Is there a possibility of having, wells out there?
Right.
And, you know, would it be beneficial to look at that and say, we're not putting everything out here? In the event that something happens. Just some things to think about, because, when you start getting new people, you can get your limit on pumping
Right.
pretty quick.
So Rivercrest has the hydraulic model for the whole system and have those numbers in play in mind. But I'm going back to the one potential we have for a massive increase in the industrial client. And I haven't seen the numbers. Rivercrest will help develop numbers. They don't do anything in the ballpark of what we were considering that. And so for that scenario, we were not anticipating having to increase water withdrawal capacity. We were gonna have to increase our water withdrawal permit, but the well capability was seen to be sufficient. It was assumed to be sufficient for the loads that we saw on that other economic development project. Because the flows were, I can't imagine if the flows weren't a few times larger than what we're talking about for this. And so, point taken, you can't put all your eggs in a basket. And that's why we've got this board. We need to get queued up to be looking down the road, 5 years, 10 years down the road and those things. So these are the factors coming, and then there's gonna be some decisions there too, of how that's made. You know, one of my biggest concerns is the gravity line along Highway 95. And it's seen as sufficient for the preliminary discussions I've been involved with for a long time with Kentucky Dam Village. Now, they're seen to be sufficient for that. And that was before gaining, before anticipated, maybe amped up development. So that's a number I'm very keenly interested in, is what we can gravity flow down Highway 95 to get to our wastewater treatment. So Cypress Lakes lifts it up, and then you gravity flow off the hill. And I don't know that I've seen the actual, I guess I have seen it, probably forgot it, the actual where the water line, where the sewer main lays, but that's a big, that's a big. As well, I mean, if you can have the capacity, if you can't pump it up there, you're not gonna have it. So it all has to piece together.
That's right.
These are good problems, and you know, increase in flows, increases revenues, and helps us maintain better cost advantage on our infrastructure and solves. So I wanted to share that with this group. But you know, there's Marshall Yards, and their announcement has not said anything about increasing hotel rooms. They aren't investing. Churchill has not announced any kind of investment that I'm aware of. Well, they haven't announced anything, and nor have I been really made aware of any, and that maybe wouldn't have been, but they're not looking at adding hotel rooms, but that is, with the land out there and some of the activity, that is not something that's very hard to get around. That you'll have, those kind of businesses coming, so we want to include them in this analysis. Long story short, anybody got any questions before we? On that?
Mhm.
Okay.
One question. So what inch line is coming down there for these things? Do we have to expand the lines, go to a bigger line at some point here?
Well, it depends on this
That's what I'm
evaluation.
Yeah.
Depending on this.
I don't know, what size is that?
Going to what pump
The
it?
gravity line on 95?
The gravity line is. I want to say about, what, 8?
Oh, I don't know. I've never laid eyes
I
on it.
want to say it is, but I think it's an 80 coming down there.
I probably got information on this computer. I can look at that.
Yeah, no, and I probably have it in my notes somewhere too, but.
It might even be bigger, it might be 12.
And so as these lines increases, I mean,
I've never heard.
I know it affects what pressures and flows and all those things. Do pumps have to become bigger? If you go to a bigger line, yeah, all this works together on.
Well, now you're asking me to put on the chemical engineering hat, but, yeah, I mean, you have to increase the velocity. So as you increase pressure, you increase the velocity of what you're pumping, okay? But there's a finite limit on what a given line size will do.
Yes,
You exceed the line size.
Yeah.
The primary method of doing something about that is to replace the line, which
right.
means a big hole in the ground and pipe,
Lots of pipe.
lots of pipe replacing it. That's typically what you do. You need more capacity than your current line size will give you. And I haven't seen, so that's what we pay these guys for. Okay.
Yeah.
So they have the hydraulic models, both the water supply side and on the gravity flow wastewater side. So
And
they
then,
have that.
then we're having to buy bigger pumps at that point too.
So we're talking about replacement of the lift stations. That's on the waste side.
Yeah,
Okay, so I actually think the Lum Valley water line is gonna be sufficient for everything we want to do out there.
and I assume that waste is more dense, that kind of thing versus just when on the water side. Is it easier to pump water than it is?
Oh, I'm
waste?
sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, different style pumps.
Oh, is that right?
And if anybody's watching, it's a good time to remind you that flushable wipes are not. They're not flushable. I don't care what the label says. And some of the big name people have actually pulled off there. They say do not flush. They've had their pantsuit off them from major metro cities. So
Mhm.
yeah, no flushable wipes.
Probably changed 3 to 5 people's.
That's my public service. announcement.
Behavior.
It's gonna be very much-
You get that
Okay,
free.
Bob appreciates that.
That's right.
I
We-
would think,
we
you know,
could.
I doubt we would get into this, but you know what, I think even Paducah does this, I mean, they, because of those peak numbers, like we were talking 140,000. Well, I believe what Paducah does is some of those gigantic tanks you see in Paducah that says Paducah water, those are actually super.
Yeah.
Well, JSA's got some,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, so they have to store that and
Well, then
pump it
special.
at the rate of capacity that they can handle.
Right,
Sure.
absolutely.
So
Kind of-
there are other ways, other than making a bunch of new bigger pipes and pumps, there are more than one way to tackle the situation, but both would be expensive.
Is
Right
that
there,
like the
right
truck
there at
coming down
Calvert
the
Drive
mountain?
in 62, that big tank right there is a 1,000,000-gallon tank, which
Yeah.
is just to hold nothing but water.
Yeah, I've heard that, I know those big JSA tanks are 1,000,000 gallons and that's, yeah, so like, you know, if you get a big, even because, you know, they have INI too.
So there's other ways to solve this by making the lines bigger.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
That may not be feasible, but there
Yeah.
are more than one way to handle.
So you take your surge out. You put a big honking tank in and you can engineer your surge and volumes out.
Which is basically what our influent lift station we're putting in now does. It takes more water, stores it, and then lets it go down. Keep it from upchucking in people's front yards.
Gotcha.
A big 1,000,000 gallon tank is pretty expensive, but it's probably not as expensive as replacing several miles of line.
Wouldn't be.
Yeah, but who wants to say, oh, there's all that waste in there? Who won't tell that part?
Yeah. It's clean water.
Clean water.
We got one more project.
Right, yeah, the
Poop tank.
LWD cutoff road, main replacements that we've talked about, Bobby had to go out at midnight the other night and work on that, and it was a holiday to get a break out there. And
had what deterioration in that pipe was basically the reason.
Oh,
for
yeah,
the
the whole,
break.
well, the whole bottom is split on it. You could, you just tell it just, it was gone.
And of course, we've been talking about replacing that relative to getting more water to the plants on that end and making the loop around better. So we did take soil samples and they're waiting to come back with the soil samples as to what they show relative to chemicals or whatever might be there. Could it be impacting that? And Gene and I were talking this morning and he mentioned maybe we ought to take part of that pipe and get a sample on it to see if there was anything that really made it deteriorate other than just age.
Mhm.
I don't know how old that pipe is. It was put in back.
I don't know when they put that one.
I don't know either.
But I still think I got a decent. I think I got it back, but
It might be worth getting us
yeah,
a sample on that just.
So we're gonna go from a what to what size, do you know?
well, it's a 6 right now.
We were looking at replacing it and increasing it to help us with the hydraulic supply situation. Out in the industrial and everything, moving to 10.
That's what he said.
So we've modeled that and we've taken a look at the changes for pumping stations, so it all fits together.
Awesome.
The only one that's not on, the only project that's not on here, but it was in our budget. I don't know where we are and how fast we need to move on it. We still need to finish up the water line from O'Reilly's around the Dairy Queen and back on
Going up Oak Park.
going up Oak Park to get that pipe out from under that guy's driveway.
Oh, what about Mega Pit? That was something?
Yeah, but it's not Megabit, it's the liquor store.
Liquor store.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right.
The water line runs right up his
Yep.
driveway. Now, and it's in the budget.
Cause it was supposed to move on down to the corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tim had determined a way to do it that he could town somewhere there where we run that line to underneath the gas line and all that. He could take it up to corner of Oak Park and
Yeah, 62.
62 and then come down and tie into the existing water line somewhere down there on a Megabit or something.
Yeah, probably go past, I think it was, it needs to go past.
Maybe a little
That's
past.
been, that's been,
Cause it's over, cause that water, I think it runs close to the corner right now.
that project's been designed. And it has to mess around with the gas lines, I think. And so it's all been determined. We just need to refresh where we are on status. On that.
The gas line,
So-
we already bored under the gas lines, Gene,
That's right.
Yeah,
That
Texas
was done.
gas, yeah.
That
we
was
went-
done. That was the first segment.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we're past that part.
So, this is work that you do when developments change and property ownership changes and applications change, what you do to make sure you can access your infrastructure. And this is one that's peeking out in the creeks. So I remember that.
Yeah, it's running across the field.
Did we mention about the sewer, smoke testing?
That's on here. I hadn't got there yet.
Okay.
Um, We, Greg not being here and, I think we can scoot over the Duke Energy TVA contract yet, because we need to do a little bit more thinking on that, what we need to do there and what we're trying to accomplish. But, we were gonna have him look at that and see. So let's skip over that one for tonight and then. We also have been continuing to look at the policies and procedures. Gene's got a copy of them on his computer now from back. Steve brought a copy of one that we had before up here So it's a matter now of getting people to start looking at them and having, who has time to get into them and try to see where we are with the policies and the procedures there. I guess I didn't have that on the agenda. Barry, I'm sorry.
It was the sewer smoke testing.
Oh,
It was B.
oh, B, okay, I skipped over it, didn't I? That's what it is. I don't know where we are on that, we were, I know you mentioned it at the city council meeting about us attempting to get some letters out and what to
Yeah,
do.
about
to the-
We've got two pieces of public relations that we need to deal with. One is the need to complete the lead survey. And that's something that we have to do to continue to be eligible for all the grant programs. So system wide, we have to do it. For whatever reason, it's got a bit of a blowback to that. Most of the houses, and I don't know the exact numbers in Calvert, I think there's like 0 houses that don't have any lead pipe issues, given the age of our infrastructure. There's nothing to really worry about. Right. If they're gonna be copper, or they're gonna be PVC. And these days, I guess, what's the new?
That poly stuff.
The tubing stuff. So the fact of having any real concerns with true lead, we may have some. But they are very, if your house has been built in the sixties on, you don't have to worry about that at all. So there's a fair amount of talk about how intrusive that is, requiring that we complete that survey. We've got to talk about the service line is the line from the main to the house. Calvert City is responsible from the main to your meter, and the homeowner is responsible from the meter to the house. And so the survey required of us requires that we evaluate the overall service line. So we got to have homeowner participation. There's online instructions. You can call down here at City Hall. We can get some help, log you on. We've actually got one of our sewer and blowers pretty knowledgeable, and not sewer, but city water, and we can help people out. So that's one part of PR. Public relations, that needs to be done. And we've been at that for a while and haven't had very good success of compliance with that. I don't know where we are on that number now. But it's pretty low. And every other utility is having the same issue. There's the whole conspiracy thing that we're trying to get houses labeled as having lead. We've already got that. There's lead paint. When you sell a house, you have to be concerned with lead paint, all kinds of stuff. This is not that. We kindly have to do this because we got to be eligible for grants. The second piece is this sewer intrusion piece. We've got sewers lines that tie into our sewer, so it's the opposite of the water line, right? So it's the flow back out. We've got people that have gutters tied in and different things that we determined with smoke testing, and now we've got the ones that we've seen in the yards in various places, and so there's some consideration of how we handle it. As far as notifying a homeowner that there's something on their property that needs to be corrected. And we need to be ready for the cases where we might get some pushback on that, but they need to really correct these things and willingly do it. And the city cannot come on and do it for you. We can't come on and correct the situation on your line coming in. It's just something we can't do. And the homeowners need to complete that, and we're willing to talk to you about what it is, but there's a number of properties. I understand that there's a list of them, and we haven't gotten our act together on what the outgoing letter looks like. Because we want to, we don't want to create a lot of fear. You don't want to threaten people or anything like that. And statute wise, where are we really on ability to force a situation where somebody's neglectful and doesn't want to correct an obvious problem? And that's why, the intrusion issue is one of the reasons that we're in an agreed order status, and we're spending a lot of money to get our infrastructure up. But this final last piece is making sure we don't have stormwater intrusion throughout the city, and we still do. Mm-hmm. It's a lot better than it was.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a lot of work done through the years on this. For the last, since Murphy was here, he started going, doing smoke testing, lining and stuff. How long has it been since Kevin Murphy? 15? Been that long?
Yeah.
Never did it.
It's probably been close. I've been here 15 years and he was the manager when I started. He worked for very long.
So this is going back quite a ways, and it's been an ever improving situation, and now we got another discovery part of it. We just need to carry on.
Dan, did you mention that last month that the smoke testing is part of the state that put on us due to the influence?
It is a part of the agreed order that we did to do all the smoke testing. I don't know, I haven't reread the agreed order, Barry, but I don't know that it said we necessarily had to
Yeah, is that,
have it repaired. We just have to know about
Have to
it
do.
and report it.
is that an ongoing thing that, every 2 years or something, we have to go do this? Or are we obligated to do that?
No, it's not an obligation going on. It really ties back to the fact that you've got excess I in your system, which is causing the sewers to overflow and creating that. So, and part of it would be the fact that, I mean, people's got their downspouts and everything, and they tie them into the sewer system in their house, and it goes in, or you got a pump in your basement, pump water, and you pump it into the sewer line. All of that is and it's not supposed to be in the sewer system, but it's not sewage. It's a good way to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it's an ongoing thing that we have to do. I think,
I mean, it's probably a good idea to do it, but,
and we may have already fulfilled it by doing the smoke testing, and if I gotta look at that and reread the agreed order and see what he said that we were gonna do to that.
I think once you bring it to homeowner attention, you're gonna get a lot of attention to it to correct deficiencies. I don't think it'll be a problem. But there'll be a few problems, and just, we seem to be stymied a little bit on getting past the hump of sending those notifications out. Make sure we get the wording correct on it. Don't want to be, I certainly don't want to be threatening or anything like that. Just want to, present this is reality of it. We'd very much like for you to voluntarily correct it. Get that wording right, and hopefully we'll get great compliance.
we talked about that earlier, the lack of trust in,
Oh, yeah. And Dustin and I were talking about that the other day.
All right. Bobby, you got anything?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything I would talk about.
Okay.
I don't have any.
People wise, you good?
People wise.
Oh, I'm, my new guy, he started this week. And, the transfer comes over at the beginning of the year. So I'll be pretty full.
Be pretty cool.
So he started this week, just in time for the safety luncheon.
Yeah.
What's he gonna be expecting the rest of the week?
I don't know. He's eating leftovers.
Okay.
No, but he seems like he'll catch on quick, so I'm pretty tickled. Okay, well, there we go.
Good. So you're working there, nothing else going on people wise or anything? Anybody tested? How'd your meeting go? You went to a meeting Friday or something?
We had a training, me and Glenn went to a fog, fats, oil and grease for sewer. And it was very well. It was about, I enjoyed it. You learn quite a bit about stuff. You don't really think about that kind of stuff, so.
What was it?
Fats, oils and grease, they call it fog.
You got foggy?
Yeah, foggy.
Okay.
But yeah, because we gotta have those for the licenses anyway. It gave the CEUs.
Mary, you got anything else? Steve? Good to that? Yeah, I think so. Golly, okay. Michael?
I don't have anything.
Okay, you got time to make your party?
Getting close.
2 things I'll make quick. This is a citizen question. So they paved out by the auto parts store on 62. Looks really nice on 62 at the Oak Park intersection we're talking about. Is that state money or city money?
That's state.
Number
They
2.
were hot stepping when they did that project. We were trying to get that asphalt down before it cooled off. They were
Oh.
moving. Yeah.
They did good. They really did.
Yeah, I was glad I got that.
I was surprised they were still.
They had one day, that's for it. Second.
Barry, how many more meetings do you have left with us?
This is the last one.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
that's it.
Ray.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of you.
I have really appreciated your input,
Appreciate that.
insight, and your passion.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just surprised that I hadn't said something on YouTube that
Come back.
Greg was called in about.
I think that I haven't been called, you're probably very safe.
All right.
I appreciate the way he thinks outside the box.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll be back for some meetings. I intend
Don't be
to.
busy.
This has been a lesson in government. You know, and really how little and myself, an example of how little I knew about this. And how much we really need to be more involved and know what's going on. And I'm glad to see this man here. This is 2 times. And that looks good.
He's got the award for the most visits, ain't he?
That's right.
Well, I think that Baxter, so he's not even official, but he was voted.
That's right, yeah.
He did swear to not have any more
He's not a dealer.
Lular or whatever you had this morning. Yeah.
I'm semi-regular here. I like to keep up with the direction that y'all are wanting to and go.
I appreciate that very much.
And our attorney tonight is much better looking
And Santa Claus.
Thank you. I won't pass that along.
than.
Larry, I appreciate your service.
Please do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We do appreciate it.
It's
Really,
been nice to work with all of y'all. I appreciate that.
I was filling out whether I needed to make the full on press to try to convince you otherwise, and an insider I know said she'd probably talk to you enough.
I told Bobby, he's the 3rd guy to sit in that seat, so somebody needs to leave, and I think it's me.
Looks like I made you.
I know it didn't take you long.
That's right.
I don't know what Tim told you.
That's right.
But I appreciate being with all of y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I've asked everybody but Glenda, you don't got anything you want to say?
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good. We're good.
All right.
So I've got some takeaways, and the biggest one is on this infrastructure, or excuse me, the lagoon recommendation. We're for it. And I'm gonna ask Chad and see if there's something that sends off flare guns or alarm bells in my head. Unless something like that happens, I'm gonna sign that contract.
I tell you what, let's do, guys, let's give me a motion that we recommend to the mayor. to Put the lagoon in.
Come on, Barry. One last.
I make a motion.
All right. How about a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. That'll put it on the.
Just makes a lot.
Right,
better
that'll be in the books.
Yeah.
When you last time.
Who did that, you know? Motion.
Your name's on that.
Barry, again, I really appreciate you agreeing to be part of this. And it's no small commitment to come in here and see it. I know sometimes being a board member can be frustration. You know, it goes so slow at times, and then other times, you know, some of the issues that come up, there's a certain veil of, I won't say secrecy, but a certain veil of, you know, information flows too slow, and take the time to come to your meeting, to care about the situation. And then there's restrictions on what we can do, and it's just as bad. And I hope that frustration is part of it, but I certainly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. Appreciate you being at all our meetings.
Yeah. Sure do.
It's a commitment. Thank you.
All right, I have a motion.
Motion to.
Thank you, Barry.
Very motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Even though I don't have a vote. So we've
You do have a say.
gotten